Today we're talking to assistant manager Neil Sorvel. The Robins completed their away season on Saturday, the last trip of the season, a very, very long trip down to Dorset to take on Weymouth. And Neil, I felt over the 90 minutes, it was certainly a game that we deserved to take something out of.
In the end, I think so. In terms of the opportunities we had second half, by the end of the first half, definitely not. You know, we were really poor, other than maybe the opening 5-10 minutes. I think we'd had probably 3 or 4. I said at half time to the lads, we had maybe 3 or 4 decent phases of possession. Where we moved the ball pretty well and advanced into their final third. So that gives you a little bit of hope going into the second half, that we can improve. Because basically it's probably as poor as I've seen us for a while in terms of in possession, particularly. We said to the lads probably before the game, two sides who play a similar style of play and want to dominate possession. It wasn't about us maybe panicking too much if they were having spells, but they had the ball for far too long for my liking, and we were too quick and too cheap in possession to turn it over to them. After we won it back, we had to go if they forced us to go longer from back to front, I didn't think the quality was very good as well, getting it into the front. We didn't retain it well. So it ended up us defending pretty much the majority of the half.
Do you think we looked a little bit tired or sort of lacking in sort of tempo? Because it felt as if we needed to up it a gear in that. After about the first 5 or 10 minutes, it felt like we needed to up it a gear in terms of the speed at which we played at.
Yeah, I thought, like I say, other than them 3 or 4 spells where we moved it okay, and that's far too few. That accounts for what, 3 or 4 minutes of the half. They were totally dominant in terms of possession. To be honest, I didn't think for all the possession they had, they created that much. But just the general sloppiness about us, and I think it got to the point because we'd had so little possession, lads were trying to force things that weren't on. That was the disappointing thing for me, rather than having a look at the state of the game and going, right, let's find our feet and get a foothold in the game and maintain a bit of possession and get into the groove a little bit. We were just forcing it and turning the ball over back to him again, and that meant we were defending again.
And in Andy Dallas, they've got a very impressive forward there. And earlier in the season, they had the same problem as us, really. They weren't really scoring enough goals. But he has certainly provided the solution in that department for them, because it's been one of the most successful loans of the season, I would think.
Yeah, he's good, isn't he? Good young player. Like I say, we've not seen anything other than him. Other than the footage, the video footage, you can't really get an handle on his size, etc. But you knew, he could do a bit of everything from what I've seen of him. Looking into the game, his hold-up play was pretty reliable. And don't forget the game we were watching was the Sutton game. That was the last kind of game we had through, and he's up against 2 monsters there at centre half, and he's competing on his own against them. He's a willing runner. Probably a little bit quicker than I thought he was. I was surprised when he got away from Toby, to be honest with you, with the chance that Tomo made a really good save from. But look, 12 goals, they've had him in since January. He's had a fantastic impact, and you can see that they've improved, haven't they, the second half of the season with some of the players they've got in. It's improved them, and he's definitely one who's seen their fortunes change, and he's a big factor in that.
Obviously an important half-time team talk, and you and Phil have got a reaction straight away, because we've started in the first couple of minutes in a much brighter vein, got the goal after 6 minutes of the second half, and then created some good opportunities.
Yeah, well, like I say, a lot of it was, I didn't think we were getting, as much as we were poor in possession, I thought we stood off them too much as well. And, sometimes you've got to get a bit tighter and get in, the man you're up against, get inside the boots and put a bit more pressure on them. And I thought we did that second half. The tempo was better, straight from the off. I think Dan should have got Coco in with the pass. I think he was fouled, wasn't he? And then a strike from Ryan, which we've seen on numerous occasions this season. That's no fluke, as we've seen. I thought second half we were a lot better, a lot more competitive. I thought we had the better chances. I was disappointed, to be honest, to not have got something out of the game with the chances we had. I think both keepers made, a couple of good saves. I think Connor had a chance, didn't he? It's a good height probably for the keeper. Josh Hancock with one maybe stuck under his feet a little bit. He's directed it well to the corner, but probably if it's not stuck under his feet so much, he gets a bit more power on that. He probably scores. Tomo's made a couple of good saves at our end, but I thought their threat as the game wore on came more from set pieces rather than open play. So yeah, the second half was a lot more positive, and with the opportunity we had at the end, we've got to get a shot off there at the end. It's a great piece of play to get Joel into the box. That was the last chance we had, and I think that was a really good opportunity. So disappointed not to come away with something.
Yeah, I think one of the encouraging aspects of recent games has been we have started creating more opportunities and working the keepers, which we haven't done all the time this season. And Joel is fairly confident normally with his although he's a fullback, he's fairly confident finishing. And I know it's something that he works on in training. So yeah, perhaps a surprising decision that he elected to square it.
Yeah, possibly. Like you say, sometimes the pitch is different, isn't it? When you're on the pitch, we can, you stood on the sideline. Often it looks different from what the lads see. Obviously, he's seen Paisley and looks to square it for a chance on the 6-yard box room. The centre back who had a particularly good game, Camp. He had the danger, didn't he, and snuffed it out with the block. I thought the one first half when Dan got in, to be honest with you, really at the start of the game, he's been really positive, made a good run in behind and he's running into goal along the byline. He could get a shot off. If he doesn't shoot, he picks someone out. We've got to get a shot off there on target. That was both of them two opportunities were pretty similar.
And what turned out to be the winning goal, we had a reprieve for a few seconds after the header came back off the crossbar, which was a fine header, but it didn't last very long. And I'm guessing you're disappointed with the way that we reacted to that.
Yeah, like I say, I thought they were, the more the game went on, and I think, McCarthy come on, another big lad, and he became a threat in terms of set plays, and he looked quite dangerous from a couple of the previous ones. I think we'd got away with one there, hadn't we, when he's with the initial first contact. Again, had opportunities to clear the ball. We should clear it. We were in possession. We don't clear it effectively enough. And then second phase, that's what a poacher does, or a good finisher does, and a lad who scores goals gets in the right place and gets in front of one of our defenders to score. So yeah, it's disappointing. We responded though. We responded to that. Heads didn't go down. We kept trying to force that equaliser, and realistically, we probably should have got it at the end.
3 games left now, all at home, so that's an opportunity. How important is it to finish top of the promoted sides? Because obviously it looks like we're probably going to finish 16th, 7th, probably 16th at best, 17th most likely, and possibly 18th. Weymouth have got some difficult games, and they've got to get at least 3 points to make it a contest. But how important do you think it is to be top of the promoted sides?
I still think that's a really good achievement. If you look at the 4 promoted sides, if you look at the way the league's stacked up now, take Barnet out of it, who've had obviously a difficult season. They're the only full-time team, should we say, who are in the bottom six almost in the table. The rest of them, you know, it's stacked up. They're all the part-time clubs, aren't they? And obviously the 4 promoted clubs and Woking. If relegation was on the cards, you know, at this point now, we'd be safe with 3 games to go. So probably that's an achievement in itself, and I still think it's a good achievement to finish top of the 4 sides who've come up. No doubt about it. So really important for us going into the 3 games. We want a positive finish. We wanted a positive performance going into the last 4 games. It was more positive second half, but we didn't get the result we wanted, or maybe the point we could have deserved from the game. But so it's really important we pick up as many points as we can and put some positive performances in the last 3 games.
We are fortunate in having 3 home games when there are going to be some spectators there, which is great news. We don't know how many at this point, but that is going to make a positive difference.
Yeah, definitely. What's it been now? It's been since, what was the last game we had at home? Was it Spennymoor?
March 2020.
Yeah, Spennymoor. So we're looking at 14 months, aren't we? 15 months we've had a game. So, yeah, you know, if I was a fan supporting my team, I'd be really enthused to come back and get back inside the stadium. But, you know, we've got to produce a good performance to get them on our side, you know. So really important, particularly with the fans backing. We give them something to excite them in the last 3 games, and we play to the level that we're capable of.
And obviously we've got one eye on next season. And whilst it's been a difficult season in some ways, there's been plenty of positives to look back at. And I think we can see that with a number of additions, and there's plenty of players available if we can go and get them, that we could be we can really compete next season.
Yeah, I think so. Look, we've been competitive, haven't we, all season? Obviously, from February onwards, the results haven't been good enough. But probably in 90% of them games, we've been competitive. I only think the Sutton game and the Solihull game, results where we've, you know, lost by a number of goals, shall we say. Other than that, we've been really competitive. I think that's been the way all season, whether we were winning, whether we were drawing, whether we were losing. Most games were decided by 1 goal, and you know, win, lose or draw, the ones we lost, we were well in the game at that point. And I still think that's the case at the minute. You know, you think a Saturday we could have took something out of the game, so we'll try and go strong to the end to complete the season.
And looking at the performance against Notts County, I thought there was plenty to admire in that performance. And when you look at their results since then, they didn't look great on the day, but perhaps that's because we made them look that way, but they've done very well.
Yeah, look at you look at the top end, isn't it? And take probably Sutton out of it. It's all the big hitters, all the ex-Football League clubs, I suppose, have stacked up now, haven't they? Below Sutton, 2 down to 7th. Yeah, that were, you know, it was a good performance. Probably we were a little bit different in terms of the way we played and sat a little bit deeper on the day. But we looked a really good side and looked really effective on the counter attack. So just little tweaks and considerations that we'll probably have a look at in the last 3 games going into, you know, and take that forward into next season. You know, it's as much as we want the ball, you know, we've seen this season, we've had a lot of possession at times. It doesn't always determine the outcome, and we know we've got to be do better in both boxes. You know, considerably. Probably the 2 games where we've conceded 4 goals have hurt our goal difference, but previous to that, I think it was pretty pleased with it. At certain points of the season, with how few goals we'd conceded. At the other end, it's been a challenge, hasn't it? And that's not just on the front lads. It's the team as a group in terms, you know, if the build-up play from the back's not good enough, it's going to hurt our attacking play, and that's a definite area. You know, we want we want to get back to score it, be more free-flowing and score more goals, like we have done the 2 previous seasons. But I suppose if you look at the league in general and look at the top scorers in this league, they're not scoring 70, 80 goals. In general, on average, teams are scoring less in this league, and that just shows how competitive and difficult it is.